Welcome everybody into the Still Talking Podcast, episode 33, the 1-year anniversary of the Still Talking Podcast. We will join with the fellas here in a moment, but we just recapped our first episode, and let's jump in with them here in a moment.
Did you see the shout? They let the...
Hi there.
Ellie... Hey, hi.
Hi.
Are we allowed to spoil The Last of Us? Because Dennis was about to make a point.
No.
Fuck you.
I'll hold on to it till later.
Just message me it.
No spoiler alerts. So after that, we are now into our regularly scheduled programming.
And year 2.
And year 2. This is the Still Talking Podcast, episode 33.
Whoop, whoop.
This is our 1-year anniversary of the Still Talking Podcast, and we just reviewed the first ever episode, which also had 3 people there, which is kind of a familiar sight. I think we've had 3 people more than we've had 4 people. I even did a podcast with myself as the only person one time, so that was fun as well. But let's who did the introductions last time?
I did.
You did. Greenfly, the floor is yours.
What am I doing? Sorry,
Good.
The introductions of this episode. Cool.
Good.
Obviously, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the start of the second year of the greatest podcast you'll ever hear. Don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but oh well.
I mean, it's not long yet.
It's not, correct. I'm very happy to be here. I am humbled to be here with 2 of my best friends on the internet, 2 of my best friends in real life as well, in Doorman and Dennis. We're still talking. We're still doing a podcast. We've been doing it for 12 months, and you know what to expect at this point. So let's move.
Let's move on. What we don't have here is Jax, the comedic genius of the Still Talking Podcast. And we never know when he's going to show up. He might still show up for the rest of the podcast. We don't know. He just shows up whenever he wants to.
Ignore the dogs.
There's dogs?
Did you not just hear barking?
I could not hear it now.
My headset is incredible.
Oh, yeah, good.
My dog jumped past me barking. It was great.
Interesting.
Oh.
So, yeah, I didn't hear it either. So what we're going to do for this podcast is just basically a year in review. We're not necessarily going to go and revisit everything we've talked about or whatever, but just kind of where we were, where we are, and what we'd like to see moving forward. And I had a little conversation with Dennis earlier today. The first thing is how we got started. We obviously all met during Among Us, and then it was after an Among Us game, which we were doing weekly games at that time, still. So I'm glad for the podcast because the weekly games have kind of fizzled out. It was just after an Among Us session. Dennis had left, and myself, Greenfly, and Jax were left just basically just sitting here, just talking still. Just rambling about this or that, and then this little voice came from chat, and she said, "You guys should do a podcast." And I believe the first response was, "Ha, that's funny." Then we kept talking about it, and we're like, "Hey, that's not a bad idea. I mean, we could do it. Well, why not? Why not do it?" We know different things. We play off each other, and so that was the 3 of us talking. And then I believe Greenfly had then messaged Dennis and told him to get back into Discord. We needed to talk to him. And I'll let Dennis take it from there for a second as to what happened.
Yeah. I get a message from Greenfly. It's like, hey, can you jump back in Discord? I say, sure. Let me jump back in Discord, see what's going on. I jump in and I hear Doman and Jack's talking about distilleries. And I'm like, distilleries? What the heck? What are y'all talking about? You guys are still talking? So weird. And then I was proposed with a generous offer. I will not disclose the amount of money they offered me because it would embarrass some of you.
More than we paid anybody else, mind you.
This is very true.
Yeah.
I'm a hard negotiator. But asked me if I would do the honor of accompanying them on this journey of a podcast. To which I did not hesitate and said yes.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is a year in the making now. Well, yeah, not in the making, but a year in the past.
Yep. So, I asked Dennis this offline. So I will ask him again online during the podcast. And I would like to get his same answer because I think the answer hasn't changed. So, as we're kicking around the whole idea, we don't know what we're doing. We hadn't even started the podcast yet. I think we had established we were going to do it in like 3 weeks.
Right.
We came up with a name for the podcast. I asked Dennis, this was earlier today. Dennis, do you remember how we came up with the name?
I do now. But I'm going to give you the answer I gave last time. No, I don't remember.
I don't think you remember now.
Oh, okay.
I don't think, unless we brought it up here in the last 2 hours, I don't think we talked about it.
That's right, we didn't. I remembered when you guys were talking about distilleries.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell are you guys talking about distilleries?
We don't get paid for the podcast. He was joking.
No, we do not. I was total joke, sorry.
So Dennis doesn't remember.
I do not remember.
Greenfly. Do you remember? Is Greenfly here? It's just like the first episode all over again.
Just like first episode, deja vu.
Yeah.
Jax, what about you? Oh, wait a second.
That's like every other episode. No, that's not true either. No poll.
We didn't do a poll, no.
Well, this doesn't really bode well if Greenfly is not here.
Greenfly, come back. Hurry up.
I don't believe we did. So, we did ask for suggestions, and I think all the suggestions were based on, like world podcast or world talk, talk around the world, stuff like that. Is he muted and deafened now?
He is deafened, yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe he'll be back. This is like my jumping off point here. This is really ruining everything.
Anticlimactic.
Yeah. Having fun, exactly. That's what this last year has been about, is having fun, building relationships, having a good time. So, what you might ask, because math doesn't math sometimes, we have been doing this, March 12th was our first episode. So today is March 18th. So we have been doing it for a year. Why, you ask? That we only have 33 episodes if we've been doing it for a year? Well, at the beginning, we decided that we were going to be a weekly podcast. And we did that for quite some time. I would say a few months of a weekly podcast. And, then we got into like the summertime and, just life happened and stuff like that. And then we changed it to a bi-weekly podcast, which works a lot better, I believe. Because most of the time we just ramble anyways. So it's kind of nice to only have to do that every couple weeks. and we do special events, Christmas and Halloween events and stuff like that.
Manias.
Yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say. Also, like our 4th episode was a WrestleMania edition. So obviously, you just heard our 1st episode. So somewhere in the 2nd or 3rd episode, we established that 3 of us really were into wrestling, like, and that was a common bond that we all had. So like any of the wrestling events that came up, we definitely did WrestleManias and Royal Rumbles and Survivor Series and any of the big wrestling events. So a lot of our content is based around wrestling. It's based around sports. It is based around movies at times. But there's a lot of events that are based around real life that we've also touched on. We've had some hard hitting subjects. We've had some lighthearted subjects, and we'll go over those. Kind of a review here in a little bit. But it's been a lot of food talk. But it's been,
I think, a very healthy amount of food talk. Yeah.
A very healthy amount. And then just even recently, we have, the last couple months of Dennis's thought-provoking question of the week. We started doing some FMKs. A lot of different segments that we put into it. So as you saw from the 1st episode to episodes now, I mean, today's not going to be like a normal episode where we have like segments or anything. We're just talking. We're still talking about the Still Talking podcast.
Still talking.
And after a year, we somehow keep coming up with stuff to talk about. And what we don't come up with stuff to talk about, Greenfly will argue about stuff to talk about. So that's always been a good thing over the last year.
Yep. Indeed.
What is FMK?
Oh, jeez.
It is,
Fudge mucus kilograms.
What's the PG version of that? Kiss, marry, kill. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the PG version of that. But yeah, over the last year, it's been a lot of fun. Once again, we've had some deep conversations, personal conversations, and
a lot of personal conversations.
Yeah. But as Greenfly said before he left, apparently, two of my best internet friends, / real life friends, like.
Yep.
And obviously Jax is in there too, but we don't see Jax very often, so
we don't. Sad. But is it really sad? Is it sad we don't see?
It's not. We've gone to every other week for the podcast. Jax has gone to every other podcast for the podcast, so that's that's his schedule, and that's what he wants to keep. So we let him do that.
Do his things.
Dennis, is there anything you'd like to say over the last year while we're waiting on Greenfly to fix his issues? Does anybody have an IT guy for the IT guy?
Cool. No, that's more of an ID10T error. But man, my entire life is different from a year ago. Like complete 180.
Sorry about that. My old man just got back from Scotland, so I'll just say hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Dad, everyone says hi. Everybody says hi. Everybody.
All of us.
Everybody.
He says everybody hi.
Everybody hi.
He's going out to get drunk now, so. See you later, Matt. He's going out to get drunk now, so.
Hi.
Bye.
Everybody says bye.
Everybody says bye. He's already gone.
Darn it. Oh, that's funny.
Anyways, Dennis, sorry about that.
Oh, so yeah, like literally every life is different. At that time of the start of the podcast, I had changed careers from selling alarm systems to going into the medical field. Since that time, my wife wanted to discontinue our relationship. Yeah, it's been crazy, man. It's been a crazy year. And in the midst of all that, the consistents have been Sir Greenfly and the Honorable Doman.
Some things never change, and some things do change, but things that won't change is a Still Talking podcast. We will be here. I mean, maybe not every other week, but
not being here.
And
right.
Yeah, and Greenfly not being here and ignoring us. What do you do?
Whoa!
He said he works in the medical field.
I ignored you for a reason. No, my dad came back from Scotland, so I was just saying hello.
That's all right.
I'm back for good though.
That'll circle me back. That'll circle me back. We'll see what Greenfly has learned over the last year in a moment. But what we had questioned was, I had asked Dennis, and he doesn't remember. Brittany kind of has an answer, but it wasn't the right answer. No, Brittany. But the question is, do you remember where the name came from?
Yes.
See, Greenfly would remember this, and there's a reason why Greenfly remembers this. So let's have Greenfly tell us where the name came from. As we're sitting here trying to get, we're asking chat, they're coming up with World Podcast and, Across the Ponds, and all good names and everything like that, but it just, nothing really stuck. We didn't really like anything until...
The podcast came from the fact that me and Doman wouldn't show up.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking what it came from. I'm talking about where the name came from.
Yeah, we didn't show up, so we realised that come a week from where we were speaking at the time, we would be still talking, and by the time the next podcast came around, we wouldn't have stopped, so we would be still talking, and we found out that there was, I believe, a beer podcast?
A distillery. So you don't remember either. I might be the only one that remembers.
Wait, so where did it come from?
So, Greenfly goes to the bathroom in the middle of us discussing names, trying to figure out names. Greenfly goes to the bathroom. He comes back. He's like, I've got it. We're like, okay, you just went to the bathroom. Like, how do you have it? He's like, I walked past my dad, and my dad straight up just asked me, he's like, are you guys still talking?
Oh my fucking god, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we're like, still talking. I like that.
Fucking god.
See, I remember stuff. So that is where, so it's even funnier that you said your dad was just there. It's even funnier.
I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. You went to the bathroom and came back.
I knew that I was something to do with it, because I was like...
Yeah, so technically your dad actually came up with the name. You guys still talking?
I mean, Britt, I live with my dad, so there's a good chance he was going to be here regardless.
Right.
But yeah, it's weird that he just came back, and like I had to... Obviously, he's been away all day in Scotland, so I had to take a couple of seconds to go say...
As I was asking you the question, by the way.
I didn't even hear you begin to ask the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's mad.
Yeah.
Exactly a year on, that's mad.
Right. Exactly. So that is where the name came from. Then we started researching if there was other Still Talking podcasts, and there is a distillery that had a podcast.
It's been discontinued. It's been discontinued.
Right.
We haven't stole this. It's been discontinued, we promise.
Right.
We were tempted to buy a jumper from the distillery to sort of show our support.
We did think about that, but then that costs money. And
they
stuff.
just don't do anything anymore. So.
Right, exactly. So, but while we're on the subject, I mean, obviously Dennis and I kind of gave what we've gotten out of the last year. of the podcast, Greenfly. What have you?
I mean, so just on the topic of, I remember. Well, I say I remember. I caught Dennis saying that he changed jobs. I got a job
Yeah.
when we started the podcast. I was unemployed. COVID had done a number on me. I'd got a job, but it was completely remote. I ended up leaving for mental issues because working 100% remote is not something I can do. I came to that as a conclusion and left for my own sake. Now a job again, but I got to know a lot of people. Like I learned a lot about the three guys that I do the podcast with. Three people I consider very good friends. I got to know a lot of people in chat, a lot of opinions and stuff. To be honest, I played devil's advocate for a lot of the year. I've said that this was forced upon me. It wasn't. I just enjoy it. It's fun. Played devil's advocate for a lot of the year. But yeah, I wouldn't say I've learned anything from the podcast. I've just grown to know the people that I do the podcast with a lot more. I've grown to know a lot of the people that I know through the podcast a lot more. For example, Britt, Cherry, Emmy, everybody else. I've grown to know a lot of people a lot more than I thought I would, and I'm just very thankful for that because it's a new friendship circle for me more than anything else. And I'm happy to say that I do a podcast with three of my friends.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I've told people, I do a podcast, and oh yeah, really? What's I like? Are you big? I was like, no. I was like, we do it on stream. We literally just talk, and usually somebody will look at the clock and be like, we've been doing this for about 2 hours. We're done. And then we're done for a couple weeks. And I was talking to Dennis there about probably one of the best things we did was moving it to every other week. That way, it gave us an opportunity to have some time in between to come up with subjects if we had to, and it also gave the stream time, because like we were just kind of basically regurgitating. We were just repeating some of the stuff we've done.
We were very much digging the topics a week.
Yeah, I mean,
every week we were digging the topics, and then we moved to every 2 weeks, and it was like,
yeah, it's like, I haven't talked to you guys in a couple weeks. What's happened? Well, a lot happens in a couple weeks.
Yeah, so, and then chat would be like, "Did you hear this?" And they'd be like, "We didn't. We did. What's going on?" And it sort of topics came naturally.
Yeah, exactly. And
at that point, and the segments we had were solid anyway. So
right, exactly.
The thought-provoking question, which Dennis has to do this week because it's the 1 year fucking anniversary. If he doesn't do it, I'm going to shoot him. We're going to do an FMK because it's the 1 year anniversary.
Right.
Dennis is in charge of that as well. He doesn't know this yet, but he's in charge.
It seems like Dennis is in charge of a lot of stuff here.
There's a lot of responsibility.
But yeah, it was. I think we got more. So when we went to once every 2 weeks, the podcasts were more entertaining than they were every week because, like Dorman said, we sort of regurgitated a lot of information and stuff, whereas every other week it was we all had subjects, we had segments we wanted to do, but then chat were like, what's this and what's that, and it sort of just became more natural than forced, more than anything.
Right.
For me at least, anyway. I think every week it felt forced.
Yeah, I felt that. I mean, it was still a good time. I mean, I still had a good time, but
I enjoyed it.
It's almost like, okay, well, I mean, we literally just ended this on Saturday, and what are we going to talk about next Saturday?
Yeah.
Like, what's new? Not a lot of stuff happens in a week sometimes. But yeah, no, it's definitely been that. And there's some subjects we don't talk about. For some reasons, whether they're personal, political, stuff like that. But I would say over the last year, there's been there's been subjects that I would have never thought I would have had conversations about. And actually, Dennis and I had kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. And obviously, there's been personal conversations that, I'm sure. I know all four of us have shared personal information that may not have just randomly came out. We have talked about chicken eggs, absolutely.
Chicken eggs are great.
And the different colors of them. But yes, definitely a lot of personal information that I don't think the four of us would have just willingly brought up in conversations.
Do you know one of my favourite conversations we've had as a podcast? And I'm going to say it, and it's going to sound horrible because of what it is. It was when we discussed very, very briefly the Amaranth issue.
Oh, yep.
That occurred earlier this year. I think that was. I think we all tell the truth 90% of the time. I think that was one of the topics where, even just behind the scenes, like we were speaking about as a messenger, should we speak about it? These are the reasons I think we should speak about it. It's a good thing to talk about. It's even if only two people hear it and those two people are going through something, it can be a massive thing. We shouldn't speak about it for this reason. We ended up touching on it, and I think that was, for me, one of the times where I saw Doorman, Dennis, and Jax as actual Bob, Dennis, and Jax. There wasn't an internet opinion or persona to sort of pursuing that. It was four people just speaking about something that had to be addressed.
Right.
Which I thought was quite cool. I think those kind of things pull people closer in life as well. So I remember Dennis messaging me afterwards, and I won't tell people what he said, mainly because I don't remember. But me and Dennis had a rather deep conversation after that, because Dennis has children as well, which is important. Me and Dennis probably spoke for a few hours after that. I think that just showed us as people more than anything else.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Dennis, were you?
I think when you gave us the opportunity to have that conversation, it was an impromptu podcast. It was one that I also didn't think that anyone. I said it in the chat. I said, "Hey, even if it's just me tonight, I'm going to go on there, and I would like to have this opportunity to have that floor to talk about it." The elementary school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, that happened. I thought it was so important that we talked about it, and we're able to have a civil discussion, and because we had at that time extremely different opinions on how the situation should be handled and addressed and resolved from political and societal matter.
I mean,
the fact that
how it should be solved, but the entire thing as a whole, like school shootings they're alien to me. Like I sat in that podcast and I just sat there shocked about how often stuff like this happens, and listening to Dennis speak was genuinely heartbreaking. Like, I was sat there like, I don't know what to say.
Right. And unfortunately, like that, like as alien is it to you, it's, obviously Dennis deals with it a little bit more because of the, having kids and having those age kids, but it's not alien. It's unfortunate that it's not alien to anybody that's in the United States.
Right.
So when Dennis said he was going to go on the podcast by himself, if he needed to, but we actually had a special edition of the podcast during the week.
And
that wasn't something that, we let Dennis just do. Like, we weren't letting him go by himself.
I don't think he was ever going to be by himself.
Yeah.
Like, if I couldn't make it, if you couldn't make it, I don't think he was ever going to be by himself.
Right.
Which is...
So, but yeah, I mean, that was definitely... I'll let Dennis continue that.
No, that was it. That was my. I don't want to use the word favorite, but that's when I felt that we're always real, we're always honest, but it felt like that was our most transparent. Just from all the emotions that we were able to express, the frustration, the anger, the fear, like everything just all at once. So um, I think that really, for me, broke me down in a sense of I already trusted you guys to a level, but it just took that trust and friendship and to a deeper level.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Are you, Doman? You have
Uh, well,
a standout moment more than anything else?
I probably do, but I'll address Brittany's question or comment. Basically, you guys are all just adorable. I assume that's what adorbs mean. I'm not hip to that lingo. I love Bob for my ability to vent without judgment. That's also true.
Oh, no, Britt, we judge you. We do judge you.
Yes, we all do.
We might not say it out loud, but we do judge you.
Also, go alternative points of view. Absolutely. And that's kind of what, the whole podcast has been, is just, even though you kind of agree, there's still other points of view. And you're like, oh, well, that kind of makes sense. Now, it's hard for me to get me to change my mind on something, but I'll definitely listen to somebody else. As far as an episode or a issue, I guess, that stands out to me, I don't necessarily have any in particular. But like I said, there's a lot of conversations that happen, and I mean, I even do this during my stream. Like, I'll end my stream, and for some reason, if chat's still talking in my stream, I'll sit there for 45 minutes, an hour and a half sometimes, and just talk. And some of the stuff is personal questions, about me or about life or stuff like that, and I'll address all of them. As much as I can to still keep whatever privacy I want to keep. But just throughout the year, just been a lot of personal questions that have been asked and answered, and I'm not a very public person, even though I am a streamer. So just those opportunities, those questions that are asked, I guess, throughout the year, is what stands out to me. And just
Nice.
and learning about everybody else too, not just talking about myself, but learning about and obviously one of the you kind of wish Jax would have been here. One of the biggest things to happen on the Still Talking podcast was Jax when he made his announcement with us.
Yeah,
that
was big.
Huge.
Might not have been a big deal for him, but it was a big deal for at least myself that he trusted
Trusted us,
enough. So, like I said, there's a lot of personal stuff that
Absolutely.
and along the lines of that, like, as serious as a lot of those issues are, like I said, like you mentioned, the Amaranth and the Uvalde, and just personal feelings and personal stuff that happens, we've had a lot of fun. A lot of conversations and a lot of fun, a lot of laughs along the way.
Yep.
Like, the Jax thing for me falls into, I grew to know 3 of my very good friends a lot better than I should have done. Like, I know more about Doe than I thought I ever would. I've spoke to Dennis more than I thought possible. When we started playing Among Us, I mean, I've spoken to Dennis about his kids. Dennis has spoken to me about his kids. I fucking love his kids. His kids are great.
For the most part.
As far as I know, Dennis, they're great. Jax is one
fine.
of the strongest people I know. the announcement to make the free
Snowman
people on the
rocks.
internet is stupid, and the fact that he trusted us is unreal.
Yep.
But it's not even a case of, I don't look at it anymore as he trusted free people on the internet. I look at it as he trusted just free friends. To me, that's the equivalent of speaking to people that I've known since I was at school. I would tell you guys anything at this point, due to the trust and friendship that I feel this last year, and also all the Among Us and everything else before it brought. Like, I would trust you guys with anything that I have to say.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. And I don't want to step in here in front of you, Dennis, but I just wanted to say
You're
real
good.
quick, like, if you would have told me that a year ago, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to talk about this. I'm not going to talk about that. Stuff like that.
Sure.
Because
Oh, yeah, for sure.
because a year ago, like, we just started this podcast, and the only knowledge we really had of each other was, hey, we played Among Us together. Yeah, we kind of we would have good times with Among Us.
Right.
I think there's a difference
Definitely.
of
Big difference.
of that, and even in the first episode, where you're just kind of just going over some basics and baseline of, I like this type of movie, I like this, I do this,
Yeah.
And now you fast forward a year, and the same kind of thing that Greenfly is saying, like, I would basically have the same respect that you guys have, so I would tell you things that you guys would say as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what the last year has built, that, at least with the three of us. I know Jackson's a little bit, I don't want to say he's on the outside, because he is still a huge part of this, and I do that, but, like, the number of times that Jax is here.
Yeah.
I think Jax is, when you look at it, I think Jax he's here less, but he shares more.
Yes.
So it it equals itself out of it.
Yes.
Like, we might do 25 out of 50 podcasts, just us three.
Right.
But in the 25 podcasts that Jax are there, he probably opens himself up the same amount that we do.
Right. Exactly.
And I absolutely adore him for it, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't open myself that much that quickly.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yep. All right. Dennis, you got anything?
I don't as of right now, actually, man.
Do we have a jumping off point here to continue just reminiscing?
Oh, just to piggyback on Britt. Yeah, I mean, even my kids are making Doman famous. I mean, holy crap!
I just played the
this
sound.
is they literally are. For me, it's a family thing, man. Like, literally, even my kids enjoy me being on a podcast, because they get to have their voices heard on the internet from time to time. So that's pretty cool.
Just say my most individual favorite moment of the podcast is Dennis's kid saying happy birthday, and that sounds
a
really
great moment.
soppy. It sounds really much like it's about myself, but it just isn't. Like, I think Dennis has 3 kids that I've never met. I've never spoke to, I've never interacted with, purely off the vibe that their dad gives out, have said, you know what, this guy's cool and we should say happy birthday, and that meant a lot. It meant a hell of a lot.
I mean, they got paid handsomely for it, but
They did. I
Yeah.
paid them a lot
Yeah.
of money, but it meant a
did.
lot.
exactly.
This is true. I think I got an Xbox again.
I
right.
paid them a lot of money, but it meant a lot.
That is true.
It is genuine. It is genuine.
I mean, we watched WrestleMania with your kid. I think your son's played Among Us with us.
He has.
Yeah.
My kid. Yeah.
Yep. Well, and that was the thing, talking about, I don't want to say an outsider or an outcast or anything like that, but just finding people that have the same interest. The wrestling thing. Like,
Yeah.
As we've established, in the first podcast, and even since then, I am the elder statesman of the group.
He old.
I old. But to find people that have that same interest. I mean, yeah, you find people that have the gaming interest and this and that, but like you find people that interested in wrestling.
Yeah.
That want to talk about wrestling and want to do a podcast with wrestling. I mean, you want to talk about a surreal moment. It was me and Greenfly were doing the podcast. I think Dennis was sick or just couldn't be here or had something else going on. And I'm pretty sure it was you and me. And we're talking about I think it was Extreme Rules. And Bray Wyatt coming back.
I remember this.
Yeah, and
I remember this.
Yeah, and we're literally talking about that, and I get a follow from Follow the White Rabbit. Or something along those lines.
No.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
The thing is, right, so Dennis
I was late.
here.
I was late.
Dennis was here, and it wasn't Dennis.
He might have
that
been
was
buying the
sick.
car at that point. I don't even know.
Dennis
Oh,
wasn't sick.
yeah.
No.
That's right.
If I remember correctly, Dennis wasn't sick. It was his kid that was sick. And we were watching whatever premium event it was. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was. I think it was the Extreme Rules where he made his return. But we were watching the pre-show. I was just watching it. I wasn't listening to it because we were still doing the podcast at the time.
Yeah. So we were watching it and we were like this and that. And me and Dillman were sort of sat there like Dennis was dropping in and out because his child was genuinely quite ill, which is understandable. Kids get ill, parents have to take care, kind of thing. And it was like, this happened, that happened. Dennis wasn't here. Jax didn't care because it was wrestling. Me and Donald went back and forth and this and that. And it was, something happened. And Dennis was here 5 minutes before. But he wasn't here like when it happened. And me and Donald were like,
Does he just make this account up?
wait, what the fuck?
Yeah. Did he just make this account up? And then you click on
were
it
like-
and it's like an existing account had however many followers, 50 followers or something like that. And
But it had been created like 20 minutes. And we were like, Dennis, this isn't fucking funny.
yeah, but it
It
was
was
like,
like, Dennis, this isn't funny. And then
Yeah.
Dennis joined the Discord and was like on chat and in Twitter and like, what's not funny? And we were like, there's somebody called White Rabbit in Dolman's chat. And they were like, wait, what? And it was like WWE, something we all have a genuine interest in, had crossed over the podcast in a way that we didn't expect.
yeah, just as we were talking
So-
about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, we want to talk about WWE and we want to make it enjoyable for everybody else, but there's only so much you can do with that. And then
Yeah.
a random person on the internet made it the greatest feeling ever. Like,
Right.
what the fuck do we do?
Yeah, exactly. That was like a freaky feeling when that happened. Yeah.
I would agree. That was something to hear and listen about. That I'm also glad that I was able to share my love of professional wrestling with you guys because that is rare. It's not something that's easy to talk about with everybody.
Right.
That a lot of people judge a lot of people for
Oh,
unfairly,
yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100% they do. And I get it, Well, actually, I don't get it. Like, there's no getting to it. It might not be your cup of tea, stuff like that. So I understand that. But it's nice to be able to do that. And a lot of our episodes have been either recapping wrestling events or previewing wrestling events. we watch some of the wrestling events together. You know, just another bond that we have made. You know, you want to talk about like, you know, even sports and stuff like that. We got different opinions on sports and different, you know, obviously Greenfly is more into
Soccer.
football. you know, and Dennis
I
and I
don't
are,
appreciate the S word.
and you know, Dennis and I are more into football.
Americano.
So I mean, we don't necessarily
Me and
agree
hand
there.
egg.
But wrestling is pretty much universal for us.
Yeah.
It is.
So that's all.
Speaking of which,
We're not far from WrestleMania.
we're
2
not. But
weeks
we,
from today.
you know what? Doman,
Does that mean that
Yeah.
in 2 weeks we are doing a WrestleMania podcast?
we are.
We are.
And guess what
I like.
guess what was not established, Greenfly? We checked the tape, as in me and my kids checked the tapes.
Mm-hmm.
Your bet was only for John Cena winning one of the titles, as in
Yeah,
the WWE or the no,
Mm-hmm.
no,
but Dennis, but I made the claim of he can win any title at WrestleMania.
You did not.
No.
You did not.
No, hear me
I
out.
checked it.
Hear me out.
I checked it.
I know the original bet. You don't need to talk about the original bet, right? When I said that doesn't count, he can win any bet at WrestleMania, I said it on my birthday. This has to be my podcast birthday present. If he wins the US title, it has to count. My
Oh.
birthday present depends on it.
Is your birthday on WrestleMania?
It was when I said it, yes.
That's not true.
Not true.
It was
That's
when,
not true.
the 4th of March was when I said it counts. So, yes. My birthday present is the deal counts as long as John Cena wins a title. If you want to say no to my birthday thing,
I think you'd say
that's
no to
fine.
it.
That's fine. That's fine. Then no, it doesn't count. I will have to say yes to a podcast at some point. I think it's the one after Mania, so in 4 weeks' time. I will
Right.
have to agree with it. My birthday wish, and I said this on my birthday, was Cena winning a title at Mania counts.
Yeah.
And it was my birthday, so if you don't say yes, you're being dickheads on stream.
I am not saying yes.
I will be a dickhead on stream.
You're a twat. You're an absolute twat.
That's probably not the worst thing I've been called today. Don't worry.
This hour.
That's also true. By
You know
this
what, Dennis?
podcast.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Anyhow.
Do I really not get Cena winning a title at Mania? Bear
Here's
in
the
mind,
thing.
there was no chance of him winning a title at Mania when I said it.
Here's the deal.
Well, I mean, there
Greenfly.
was.
Here's the deal,
wasn't.
Greenfly. You know what? What's going on?
I love
You know
to
what,
hear this.
Greenfly? I'll do this. I'll do this for you. How's this sound? Hear me out, Greenfly. I'll do this. Because I'm so confident that John Cena's not beating Austin Theory
Oh,
at WrestleMania.
don't do it. Oh, no.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I accept already. I
This-
accept.
As a matter of fact,
I accept. I accept.
to quote a very cringy old man, Austin,
No.
there's no chance in
Heck. I accept. Oh man, you can't argue now. A podcast
If-
in Brazil. This is done.
if John Cena wins
I don't know what the bet
US
is yet.
title
He hasn't.
at
He hasn't
I'm about
Yeah.
to explain it.
okay.
If John Cena wins the title, the United States title from Austin Theory at WrestleMania, Greenfly, I will agree to anything you say on the following podcast. As a matter of fact,
I've got that idea.
I think they're going to fight night one. I will not only agree with you on the podcast, I'll agree with you when we watch night two.
I've got a better idea.
Hold on.
Just because of what it is. Instead of you agreeing with everything I say, if John Cena wins the United States title, which is a title in WWE, which is what I said John Cena would win, I had. The original bet of I will agree with anything you say, the podcast after WrestleMania, is null and void because
That-
Cena wins a
That,
title.
that should be the bet.
That's
I'll
the
do
bet.
that.
I
Because-
don't
That'll be
want
the
to
bet.
agree. I don't want you to agree with me. I just don't want to have to agree with you if Cena wins a title at Mania.
Yes,
Fair.
because
we will win
that would void out the first bet of him winning the world championship, and then
Which I didn't say. I said he wins a title.
that's
You did not
true.
say a title.
I did say he wins a title.
Not
You
true.
did not.
Find
Anyways,
proof I said he wins a title.
so now,
Erroneous.
now, if John Cena does win that, now what if John Cena does not?
I
win?
agree with everything Denny says for a podcast.
And he
Okay.
has to agree with everything I say at a podcast.
All right.
It's a podcast, so it might not be when's Mania? It's
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks
Yeah,
from
2
today.
weeks from today. Saturday and Sunday.
So I would really hate Greenfly. I would really hate for you to have to hold two big bet L's in this year already. Your Eagles and your precious John Cena.
I didn't lose a bet with the Eagles.
Sorry?
I didn't lose a bet with the Eagles.
They did.
You did?
They didn't
No, I
win the
didn't.
Super Bowl. Because
The bet was if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, you have to agree with everything I say for a weekend. If they don't, it doesn't matter.
right, true.
They didn't.
True. So Dennis
So it
didn't
doesn't
lose the
matter.
bet. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but
Right.
I didn't lose a bet.
That's yeah. Okay, that's pulling.
Like
Splitting
the
hairs
bet
there.
wasn't I win or lose. It was I
Yeah.
have to get something from it or I don't.
Right.
Like
True.
it was a nothing bet for me.
True. I agree.
The
Ah.
the WrestleMania bet on the other hand, I give a shit about.
That would be has your interest in there. Yes.
Yes,
Ah.
it does.
So we do have the WrestleMania podcast in 2 weeks. We probably won't see Jax for that either.
We probably won't.
He'll probably start the podcast up tomorrow or something. Who knows what he does?
He will start tomorrow. Or we'll start it next Saturday because
That-
he does that a lot as well.
That crazy person. So anyway, before we kind of move on, any other events, any other things over the last year that we've talked about that stand out to anybody? I mean, we've done Christmas, we've done a lot of lists, we've done a lot of
I
food.
think the esports talk we did was something that.
That was a good one.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be the same for everybody. By the way, like I'm not saying this because it's only me that matters. I think anything Dorman picks out is something that's important to Dorman. Anything Dennis picks out is something that's important to Dennis. I play a lot of esports ranked game modes. I follow a lot of esports. I think the whole problem with an esports talk that we did, that was one of my favourite conversations because it was one of the conversations that I felt my opinion genuinely mattered.
We didn't mean for that to
so-
happen.
Oops.
I know you didn't, but it did.
Ah,
But yeah, that was one of the conversations that I felt like I genuinely pulled my weight in, and everything else. So that was one of my favourite ones.
and the funny part about that conversation, that wasn't supposed to happen.
It wasn't.
No, because we talked about. I thought we had talked about it like early in the week, and we're like, yeah, let's. We're not going to talk about because the way that I went with it was basically like earnings.
Yeah.
And that just kind of springboarded that. So we kind
Yeah,
of
so if I'm
took
not
what we
mistaken,
thought we were going to talk about and just like, yeah, that's not going to work. And then
but
I
if
ended up-
I'm not mistaken, that entire conversation came from Stump retiring, and I
oh, that's
said,
right. That's right. You want to
let's-
talk about that. We didn't really.
talk about the so-called greatest of all time in esports, and then we sort of came to the conclusion that
Yeah, you're like,
everybody's going to have a different top five because we all watch different esports.
right.
So we started looking into more the monetary side of it.
Yeah, yeah, but literally just springboarded, and that's what a lot of the conversations are. Like, we don't,
Yeah.
not very often do we actually have a set topic. unless it's an event, like unless it's a wrestling event or a sports Super Bowl event, or even a holiday. We did Halloween, we did Christmas. So we basically
Bathroom break.
we basically made notes about those and kind of followed through with them. Everything else is just kind of just winging it.
Yep.
Whether that turns out well or not, I don't know. But I mean, it's turned out well for 33 episodes.
Yep.
So those are the fun times. I mean, those are the lists that we do, and the drafts that we do.
The drafts.
Where we're drafting food drafts and drafting candies and stuff like that. And then arguing with Greenfly that Kobe Bryant is not the best player ever in the world. I think that's what his stance of that was, and he was completely wrong.
It was.
Yeah.
It is. We don't talk about it.
Yeah.
It's like Bruno. We don't talk about that.
Right. But yeah, I don't know what we want to continue on here. We've been talking for an hour, and I mean, we can go with a thought-provoking question. We could go with one of the segments, or we could just kind of just talk for a little bit longer and maybe just end earlier. And then let everybody get on their way. What do you think, Dennis?
I'll be honest. I don't have a thought-provoking question of the week.
Okay.
I did not prepare one.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think we really kind of really wanted to have anything for this week. This was more of just kind of a reflection type of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm completely fine with not going down our normal route, which would mean thought-provoking and anything like that. Any of the segments we do would be a month from now. No. Yeah, a month from now, because in 2 weeks will be the
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania, yeah.
Yep.
Are we gonna do both nights?
Yep.
I'm not sure what the answer was for. It was a yes, but both nights for what? Like to make the predictions or to?
No, not just predictions. Like WrestleMania. Like, are we gonna be streaming both nights or?
Yeah, I mean, the plan is to watch it.
Sure.
Yeah, I won't do it like I did the last time. What was that? Elimination Chamber, where I just had it on mute and stuff.
The way I was looking at doing it was we stream normal time on this Saturday, maybe an hour earlier to allow for certain things.
Yeah.
We do the predictions and everything else for Mania night 1 and night 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then we watch night 2 together in Discord like we normally would.
Yeah, that's fine. I have no problem with that.
Not necessarily stream night 2, but everybody's welcome
at least
get
watch it
involved in night 2.
Yeah,
and we'll find out the times too, because like if WrestleMania on night 1 starts at 8:00, then yeah, we can probably start an hour earlier for the podcast.
Yeah.
And then do it. But I mean, if it starts at 7:00, then we might have to start like an hour and a half earlier.
Yeah.
Depends on how long what time night 1 starts.
right.
But we'll research that and get that posted at some point in there.
But I say let's just keep talking. What Doman?
What up?
What would you have done if we didn't have this podcast? What time machine? You go back in time. What do you think that you would have done on your every other Saturday free time?
Streamed. I probably would have played a game, but I would have played earlier. I mean, it's not much like I would have done much of anything, honestly. He'd be playing. I'd be playing Fortnite with Britt. Yes, exactly. No, I would
There you
definitely be
go.
streaming because, like, on the weeks that we don't have the podcast, it gets to about, I do a few things early in the day on a Saturday. Just whether I'm just kind of watching TV or watching sports and stuff like that, and it gets to about 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I'm like, I'd like to go play. I'd like to go play some games right now, and I'm like, hell, I don't really want to play because then I only have like about an hour and a half to really play before the podcast. But on the weeks where we don't have a podcast, and it gets to about the same time, if it's around 5 o'clock, I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna start my stream.
Yeah.
A little bit earlier than I normally would. So I would probably just stream, Fortnite or whatever, Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
And a lot of those conversations we have, and then on days where wrestling happens, I would probably not stream, so I probably wouldn't stream on a Saturday. Now
Yeah.
I can do a podcast and then not stream. So, and then a lot of the conversations revolving around food and stuff like that, like, definitely I talk about food all the time in my stream, but some other conversations, some hard-hitting conversations, personal conversations, those don't happen.
Sure.
So, I would just be normal. I would just do a normal stream is what I would
Sure.
do.
Nice. Greenfly, besides getting better sleep, what would you be doing?
Sleep.
Had we not?
Like, I mean, it sounds like, I know you said besides better sleep. If I wasn't doing the podcast, I'd either be playing Among Us with you guys or I'd be in bed. Like, wrestling was something that I didn't know we had in common before the podcast. So it's not like I'd have stayed awake to speak about wrestling with you guys every now and again. I'd have on a random, every other Saturday night, I'd have been in bed by now, probably catching up on SmackDown or Raw, and then getting ready for Mania, like that. Like,
Yeah, that's the weird part.
all this does is make it harder for me to catch up on wrestling.
Right. I was gonna say that's the weird part is if we didn't have the podcast, we wouldn't know each other liked wrestling
No, we wouldn't.
because
Probably
it
not.
wouldn't have came up in Among Us, and we
Yeah.
probably wouldn't even be playing Among Us. At this point, it's not like we would have forced the lobbies.
Yeah.
It'd been like,
We'd have probably just fallen away from each other at this point. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, agreed.
Dennis, same question to you.
Whew. I really don't know. It would be some lonely Saturdays, let's say that.
Yeah.
What would your kids do without Uncle Doorman?
Let me ask them. Hey, boys,
Snowman rocks.
what would you do if we never met Doughman and Greenfly? Oh, that's cold-blooded, bro.
I wouldn't care, bro.
That's cold-blooded.
Fuck
That's-
that dude.
Yikes. Not asking that kid anything else.
Yeah, don't have to. That's not the one that. No, that's the other ones.
I
Right.
like your daughter. You have a daughter that I like.
She's currently sleeping.
She's better than
Already?
your son. She actually likes me and Doorman, so
Man.
that's great.
So, not already. Holy crap, I probably should wake her up because this was her nap that she just woken up from.
No, let her sleep.
No.
I say let her sleep.
She's gonna be up till
You know
like
what's
5
let her
o'clock in the
sleep?
morning.
I
know what's
say let her
crazy?
sleep. It's 10 past 12 for me. So don't
So-
just let her sleep.
So, here's my thing. They're with their mom tonight. So, it doesn't
Oh,
bother me.
Yeah, that's
at
true.
all.
She's well rested.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
hmm
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I would like
you know-
let her sleep. It's late time, but it's not at all for you.
yeah. Obviously, you say
Yes.
you said like lonely Saturday nights and stuff. Like, I mean, you wouldn't. Obviously, you just got Fortnite back and stuff like that. You probably wouldn't be playing Fortnite. That wouldn't have been a thing
No.
Because even like looking at the podcast a year ago, like that wasn't really something you talked about. Like you didn't really mention that. Nah, I don't play that.
Right.
My God, are you still talking? We are.
We are.
What's up?
We are. It's what we do.
So yeah, I mean, I'm happy that gives you something to do. I don't know what you would do on a Saturday night.
Not quite sure either, but I'm happy
You
that
don't have
I'm
to worry
here.
about that.
Do not.
Yeah, regardless what you would have done on a Saturday night, I'm happy to see you doing what you want to do on a Saturday night. I
This
messaged
is
you
true.
earlier, like you got an Xbox. I like you better not fucking trade that in. 'Cause I want to.
No, this.
I'm ready to game.
If you are, then you want to jump on real quick. Doman,
After this podcast, I'm down. Always like,
Doman Greenfly. Can I interest you in a little gamey game?
what are we playing? Because I'm down.
I think the only game he has is Fortnite.
I'm so down.
Well,
I'm so down.
I have Fortnite. I have Fall Guys. I have Rocket League,
I can play.
and I have NBA 2K23 now.
Yeah, you do.
I don't have, but I can download.
Yeah, you
No, don't pay $70 for it. No, you're good. No, we can run.
And I already own it.
We can run Fortnite. I'm good with some Fortnites.
I will play Fortnite. Maybe. I'm tired. I'll probably play Fortnite for an hour. My food's not here yet.
Doman.
I would have to check with my associates
Okay.
because I have standing invitations to.
Chat, fuck you. Doman's playing Fortnite.
I mean, you're
Ouch.
probably not wrong about what I'm playing, but
Chat, fuck you. Doman's playing Fortnite with me and Dennis.
Oh,
Back to
shoot,
more-
That's funny.
losing bats. Well, yeah, I don't think I've won a bet yet, T-Ray. I think every game I've lost. It's been a bad few days. Bad. Exactly, Britt. Like, see how they treat me around here? See? I have to check with my associates. I have to see
You know
what my associates say.
If you do not play Fortnite with me tonight, I will not support a creator in the 5,000 V-Bucks I have to spend.
It's a hard sell.
So I'm not gonna say it's blackmail, but put your butt in here.
Well, it sounds like T-Ray is going back to watching basketball and watching his bets lose.
T-Ray.
Exactly, Britt. I don't know if Brittany is playing.
Right? You down?
Which one you picked against? What happened? I'm fine. I don't know what that means.
Brett, are you jumping on Fortnite?
So that would tell me, and I haven't seen Nella. Oh, as is playing Rocket League. I haven't seen Nella in a minute, so I don't know what she's up to. But I would assume by the time she would be able to play, then Greenfly will be gone, so there'll be room. If
There will
Brittany
be.
plays and T-Ray plays.
I'm gonna be completely honest. If there's 4 American people that want to play,
What are you saying?
play.
Say what you say.
Say it
I'm
with your chest.
saying I'm tired.
Mm.
Mm.
You play with your friends. I don't have any friends, T-Ray. You were it.
Tired.
You were it, T-Ray, and I don't even. You're not even my friend.
T-Ray, play.
That is true. He's
I'm
happy to.
tired, bro.
See, that's the
Play.
funny part. Is we had, what did we have last night? I think we had 6 people in the lobby last night.
We did.
And
yeah.
like people were just like, no, I'm sitting out. No, I'm sitting out. No, I'm sitting out. And that's how it used to be. Like
My food's not here yet, so I need to sort my food out.
it used to be that way. Like it used to be me, Crazy, Cherry, Fluffy, Britt, Trey.
Speaking of which, where is Crazy's crazy self? What he's playing a different game now. I saw he's playing some weird
He's
puppet
playing
thing.
the Sinking City.
Oh, is he? He's doing his. I haven't talked to him in a while. I know
That's
he does
good.
his. I know he does his story mode game for a couple hours, and then he jumps onto Fortnite later. and plays
Yeah,
with
I think
viewers and
I
stuff.
think what I'm currently looking at is a story mode game. What the fuck is this?
Hope knows. Hope knows. But yes, I will play Fortnite. I was gonna play DVD because I even told Dennis I was gonna play DVD.
You
But-
know what? You're right. You did say you're going to play DBD. I'm sorry.
But
Nope.
I will graciously agree to play Fortnite.
My food is here. If it's sorted and done within a time that I can play, I'll play Fortnite. If not, I will speak to everybody later.
That's fine.
Green flag.
There goes screenplay.
All right. Well, let's
No,
end.
man. You brought us into this world a year ago. Go ahead and take us out, buddy.
We will take you out of this world. Thank you for joining us for the 33rd episode of the Still Talking podcast.
Still talk.
The 1 year anniversary of the start of this whole thing. Why you're still here after a year, I have no idea. Why we're still here after a year, I have no idea. But
FTC doesn't onto us yet.
that is true. How we haven't been banned, I have no idea. But we like it. We're still here. And as long as they let us, we will still be talking. The man to my left, that is Madennis. Some people call him Mad Enos. Whatever you want to call him, just call him Dennis. The man that just left to go get his food is the man, the myth, the legend, the Fly of the Greens. That is Green Fly. And the man who doesn't need any introduction because we don't even know where he's at, actually. That would be Jax. So the four of us are your hosts for the Still Talking podcast. We appreciate you being here. We will catch you the next time, but just remember to still be talking.
My God, are you still talking?